Hi, everyone. We are back. It's Lisa Wessel and Diane here today with Encompass Women's Health. Um, Diane is reminding me to always ask you to like our channel. Anyways, we are into a weekend to 2026. And I think most are probably pretty happy to see 2025 go. This is where like we it's never bad. It's just a learning, so we didn't have to like everything about 2025, but as long as we're taking away like a learning experience, I always kind of look at it that way. I'm I kind of joke. I was like, I don't fail, I just learn. Partly because that sounds better, and because you are like everything is a teaching moment if you allow it to be, or it will crush you. So I'd rather just kind of learn from 2025 and jump into 2026. Diane and I were talking earlier that this is the year of the horse coming out of the year of the snake, and it does already feel. We were talking about this, or like better. It feels like strong, like I don't know, more like secure. I feel more like I've been working on boundaries. Just like I feel like I'm ready, maybe. I know it's gonna kick me in the ass. I got some stuff going on and I know that's gonna be really, really hard, but once I get through that, I think it'll be fine. So anyways, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Yes, I think that part of what made 2025 so challenging was there's just this like a bunch of brutal life lessons. And the fact that as soon as the calendar turned to January 1st, I was like, whew, that's over. I like to take January as a time to kind of reflect on what I've learned or what kind of, the world has taught me. And every year's different as we grow older, things change around us, our kids grow up, we change, our bodies change. So I think I would love to hear, and I'm sure everyone else would, what are a few things that 2025 did teach you? What were some of those lessons that you're carrying into 26 so that when
Ooh,
2026 gives you some challenges, you can be like, wait a minute, I have a lesson in here. I
I
can I
know
can
this
handle
stuff.
this.
Um, I would say that 2025 oh gosh, I'm like, ooh. I think it taught me that I'm capable. Um, Dude, you're gonna make me cry. Easily, I'm a crier anyways. That this is okay. Like this is who I am. I get upset, or like you just, like I'm like everyone else, like you turn the focus to me and I'm like, ooh. Yeah, that I'm stronger than I know, that I think. Like I'm able to do hard things. Things aren't like things aren't happening to you. You are like things are just happening. And it's what you do with it. And you can change it. It is really a perspective of things. Like what is the moment? What am I supposed to learn here? Or what am I supposed to pass on here? I think when we change our perspective, like you can do anything. So again, like I do feel I think I've always felt that way, but I think this year I really realize that like this isn't happening to me, it's just happening. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I think from like a emotional standpoint, like again there were some like challenges and hard things, but like also they were beautiful. We had to put our dog down. This is his shirt. It's a, let's see, Morris, see.
Oh.
And it was the most awful beautiful thing I had to do. I lost my stepfather, who was like a dad, oh, to me. But like also recognizing like they're here, like their energy is present if you listen to it.
Mhm.
um oh, there was a bunch of other, those were probably like the two like fuck me hard things, um along with other stuff. I mean we all have our things, but like yeah, I mean there's a season, there's a place, people come into your life for, they always say that, a reason, a season, a lifetime.
Uh-huh.
So it's just like, yeah, it's like, so, but like, what, would you not, even though it's hard, would you not have done it? No, of course you would have. So yeah, I think there's like that piece. I think with my body, like it is changing. And you're like, oh, when did that like waddle come into my neck? Like when did like things like that? But like I'm stronger than I've ever been. my one thing that I really wanted to do this year, and I got to put it on for 2026, is I really wanted to be able to do like 5 pull-ups. And I have the bar, and I can do one. And like once I knew I could do one, I was like, "Ah, it's good enough." Um, but I want to work out, like physically, it's just like, I kind of want to challenge myself that way. But also recognizing like things are starting to like, oh, my hip hurts a little bit. Maybe I need to actually stretch.
Mm,
The
mhm.
things that you used to be able to just get up and kind of go, and you're like, um, yeah,
I think that's what is so beautiful about January. Obviously New Year's resolutions fail, blah blah blah. There's this energy coming into a new year, a fresh start, a blank slate, while we are still in the dead of winter.
right.
Literally the winter solstice was just a couple weeks ago. So
Hmm.
from January until March, there's this space to really think about, make plans and plant seeds and set intentions, and kind of taking this time to reflect. And it's kind of a mindset shift, I think, for women, for high achieving women, for, like you, that, go, go, go. Wait a minute. Now there's this space to like accept things are different. And I relate to the body changes. The other day, I got out of the shower and I was drying off, and I was like, "Oh, there's a dog hair on my boob." No, it wasn't. It was a fucking hair. Like, it was literally like, and not by my nipple, like where occasionally they go rogue. It was just like this random attached hair in the middle of my boob. I don't know if I should cry, if I should take a picture. So I went and showed my husband. Because I was like, what is happening?
Look
And
at
then it's
this.
just this, I feel like another sign of life, like to remain humble and to find the humor. And that even with all the hard stuff, like you said, it's observing, and it's really transitioning to be in that seat of the observer, that shift of, wow, there's a lot going on collectively, personally, always stuff is happening,
Yeah.
and releasing some of the control potentially of like, yeah, you just can't control really most anything in life, but you can control where you sit to observe it. And
Hmm.
I think for women, especially women in our age, that's really important to practice, 'cause it's hard, but you can do hard things. And so when we start taking into account our health and our changes in our body, what do you think are great ways to practice moving to that seat of the observer?
I think it's kind of all the things that like people have been saying to you forever, but you just didn't have to do because and you could get away with it. This is I think you're in this middle, like this shift of what do I want? So I'm 51. Like I'm probably not going to live another 51 years, but you kind of go, what do I want the next you know, like realistically, I'm like, it could be 40, but like, so what do I want the next 40 years to look like? Knowing that like my body is going to change and is changing. So to me, it's this a little bit of a pendulum shift of if I want to still do the things that I want to do, what do I need to do to make that happen? Because it doesn't just happen. So like, for me, a lot of it is like I work a lot. That's not true. I work, I do it. Like my motility. Like getting in a squatting position with my feet flat on the ground. And just sitting, like squatting, just sitting there. And then like moving my hips. Can I get off the ground without using my hands? And now I've been doing this for years now. So I hold 20 pounds or I can hold 25 pounds and I can do it. Um, those sorts of things. Like, can I hold plank position? Like, if you would have told me when I was 40 to be doing this, I'd be like, shit, no, I don't got time for that. I gotta go for my run, like, so it's in kind of incorporating those things into my kind of daily, or try to at least, or like at least I'm doing this a couple times. Really like drinking simple things like gotta drink your water. I'm just as bad as everyone else, but like it so I always kind of look at like the New Year's, it's like it's not about taking things away. It's not that I'm not gonna whatever, because that's never gonna happen. But like I really need to really work on getting 80 ounces of water. And just should I have 100? Yes. But like I don't even right now it's 40. That's it. So I'm trying, those sorts of things. I'm trying to like stay off my phone before I go to bed. And I'm not going to be perfect, but it's like being conscious of the things that I want to change. So if I want my next 40 years to be what I envision them to be, and I don't know that we see it in a different light, but these are the things I think I need to start doing.
Mhm.
So yeah, I kind of joke, like I always think it's like, when people like if I'm having a protein something and someone like, is it good? And I'm like, oh, it's not a Snickers, but like, like so like you kind of have to change your mindset. But I know this is like I'm getting my 30 grams of whatever it is. But yeah, no, it's not a Snickers anymore because that's not my focus. Like,
Mhm.
so you have to kind of like, yep, that's not. I've had better, but it's good, tastes good.
Well, and I think if I'm hearing you correctly, it's almost this gift, trying to see the positive side of this gift of transitioning from, into through menopause, this
Yeah.
journey of this later half of life, or the crone era. Um, and it forces you, the universe will continue to give you whispers, give you signs that you need to start taking care of yourself and stop focusing on everyone else as much. Because if you don't, you will be forced with extreme measures to do it at some
Yeah.
point, because we know we're not getting out of here. We
No.
know how the journey ends.
Yeah, exactly. I think, it happens all the time, working in healthcare, like, and, like, why? Why did this happen? Why, that I like, all, like, if something, in someone's healthcare journey, like, why did this happen? And, sometimes there's an answer, but a lot oftentimes I'm like, there is a straw that breaks the camel's back. So it wasn't
Mhm.
one thing, it's all these little things that like our body is amazing and majestic and capable, and will do and do and do and do. And there it comes a point where I usually tell people, I'm like, and now it's flipping you off. Like you need to give back to your body. There
Mhm.
are things, and we live in a world where it is a go, go, go. I am part of that, but like, and like just learning to take a breath and step outside. And I need to do, I'm a patient like everyone else. I'm a horrible patient probably, but I was in the office yesterday and I got there at 10 and I did not get home until 10 o'clock at night. And did I step outside? No. Should I have? Yeah. Like, it would have hurt no one to be like, I'm gonna just get some fresh air. But like I tell people to do that all the time too, but you get caught up in it. And so our our system isn't designed to continue to go, go, go all the time. Particularly as women. We are like as we're cycling, and even when we're not, we are on a 28-day like cycle where the world is in a 24-hour, which we know is more like a male driven. It's based on like testosterone, and when testosterone rises in men, like why meetings are at certain times of the day versus other times, and that's because it really works well for men. And I'm not saying that as women we can't participate or can't do well with it, but we do work on a different cycle, and we have been kind of, you get forced into this cycle, and it's like, okay, like yeah, we're gonna have to do that. Like it's not gonna, that's part's not gonna change, but like what can we do to better it for ourselves? So sometimes it is kind of recognizing like there is a time to rest in that like slow 28-day cycle. Like there is a time to rest, there is a time to be productive, there is a time to plan. And even with the year, like you had said, like this is where it's like, let's plan, let's like restore, we're still growing, like, and I just had this
Mhm.
happen, it was really kind of interesting. I pulled a peony because we were doing something, and to replant it, not a good time, but it was so pretty. Underneath, you could see these little tiny pink, like, ball, like, starting, and you're like, it was just this recognition of on top, it looks dead, right? And
Mhm.
but under the ground, it's like got this whole thing working and communicating, and you're like, oh, like that's what is happening right now. Like outwardly, we might not be, it might not look like a lot is going on, but like this is the time to like, okay, let's get organized, let's plan, let's gather, and then we can, kick ass and take names. But
Mhm.
you do need that time.
Mhm. I I wonder what you think about a lot of times I think women struggle to give ourselves the permission to do that, right?
Yeah.
Like, to be like, "Whoa, man, I have to, like, move. It's gonna take an act of Congress for me to have some time for myself, and, it's so selfish of me because we give and give and give." Yet, when you start doing it, in my experience, and I'm sure it's the same for you, the world still keeps going, and you find that little by little, you just have some more capacity for yourself.
Mhm.
So, when you're saying take time to plan, you're still growing, when is a good time to take action then? Like, is it because I think some people might have anxiety of like, what do you mean? Sit still and make plans and not take action, then the world might stop spinning.
Right. Right. Well, I think if we're looking at like a female cycle, and you're like aware of that, and now and i- anyway, some people like there's like if we're not having a cycle anymore, if we're there, or like you've had maybe you have an IUD and you don't know where you are on your cycle. Like sometimes it's like just listen, be intuitive to it. Like you do know, and I think that's the thing is like all of us do know. We've just ignored it or been taught to ignore it, and like come on, put up your cowboy boots and keep going, sister.
Right.
But I would say like from like a simple way is like yeah, during our period. When we're actively bleeding is kind of the time to like okay we should be resting, we should be kind of inward with things. This is like a great time to like physically like be stretching and doing yoga, more mindful things. Like so you can still be doing, but just in a different capacity. Like I'm gonna go for a walk. Like I'm gonna go hiking if that's not what just being outside sort of thing. And like nurturing what your body wants, as far as food wise. A lot of times this is where like really good carbohydrates can be helpful during that aspect of it, like, where this is where this is where we're like, "Oh, dark chocolate, that's good," but just not, like, in huge quantities, and this is where, like, again, your complex carbohydrates, so not your processed foods, can be extremely helpful, so, like, like your squashes, your like, the foods that you think of as kinda, like, warm and cozy, but still, kinda healthy, and then, like, as you transition, through our period and as we are in this kind of the second half of our cycle or like the follicular phase things are like if you think about what's going on in your body's getting ready like oh let's like we want to get pregnant so let's like get all these eggs going and come on get together this is where we kind of can be like let's start this is where we can like bust it out we can kind of really start like doing things we then we ovulate and we're like on top of the world so we have this like kind of building time frame where it's like, okay, this is where I'm going to do stuff. Like all of the planning that I was thinking about or what I wanted to do is like now I'm gonna bust this out. I'm gonna do it. And then after ovulation, and it lingers. Ovulation is usually about a 24-hour window, but everyone's a little different. There can be some shift, but like now we're on the second half of the cycle where we're in the luteal phase, and most people know this as like the PMS phase of their cycle. And again, this is where we kind of start to like slow it down and like start to think and plan again. And like the cycle really continues where again, like there's a time to do that. And I guess if you looked at like the seasons, like we could kind of and this is not what we do at all in this society. Like October through January is like a shitstorm. Like it is go, go, go. When really this is where we should be like kind of like the animals, truly. I'm
Mhm.
gathering, I'm getting ready, like, because we're gonna hunker down, and we don't do that. Like, but like that's kind of the what should be happening. I'm planning, I'm hunkering down, and then now it's the winter time, and I've done kind of my gathering ready, and now I'm gonna do some more planning and think about and be ready, and you know, then it's time, and then we're like, doing projects, getting stuff done, that sort of thing. So it's like big, like around, like the seasons, the
Uh-huh.
months. Yeah.
I think about the moon too. So
Oh,
because
yeah.
I have an IUD, but when you talk about that, I'm also thinking so full moon is release, right? So
Mhm.
that's your period part. Like people get really tired sometimes or just a little cranky leading up to a full moon. And I know in the emergency services, the full moon was a little like it was right after the full moon where things seemed to get a little haywire and a little crazy. And it's that energy. So if you don't have a period, maybe another way to consider would just be like, okay, full moon, release, slow down, nurture
Yeah.
yourself. And then after the full moon, it's that building to the new moon,
Yeah.
the ovulation, ooh, I have all this energy, and then slow down again. And not that it's an exact science, obviously, but it's the moon controls the tide, controls the water. We're water. So why wouldn't it?
I know, I always said that too. I was like, "We're like, what, 80% water?"
Uh-huh.
So, like, of course it's gonna affect if you can move a fucking ocean and change the like, of course it can do something to little old me, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, yeah, so I absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing is, we are all it's all connected. Like how the world works, whether you believe what it doesn't matter what you believe, whatever it is, it's like there's something and there's a purpose
Mhm.
and like sometimes the design of the you're like who decided that? Like, why? Like this hip thing for my knees now does not really work. Like, I understand for birthing, but like, it's really messing with my knees. Like, that sort of
Exactly.
thing. But there was a purpose. And it's like, oh, well, we didn't really think about that part.
Right. Well, and I think part of it too, and this is yes, hormones are very important to talk about, and we'll get back to hormones. We'll get back to all the things about women's health. But I'd love for you to speak a little bit about the importance of community and why it's so important that we do this together and
Oh, yeah.
not against each other. And while there have maybe systems and structures in place to divide and social media and all this us versus them, whoever them and us are, but really that community and the community you've built with Encompass Women's Health, the power of that and why it's so important.
Yeah. Like I think that's one of the I guess I would go back to like the one of the first questions, like what have you learned? And I think that is 2025. Like that was one of my big takeaways of like, oh my God, we are all connected here. And like what I kind of always, like I think it's like again, you kind of recognize it, but you really don't. And like age and time and gives you the ability to really like feel it. Like what I do matters. And not
Mhm,
because I'm the provider or anything like that, but like, like the information I have like to say to someone can go, it's a ripple. It goes further than just like me talking to you about your hormones. Something that you will say to me, like, I like can some I like I found that like I mean you hold it and you're like, oh, I can pass that on to someone else. And it makes a huge difference. When we started, Diana and I were talking about this. I have a client whose daughter has a lot of health issues, and just like not abnormal, but just like confusing and tricky and rare, and no one could find. Like and it's been going on for a long time. And she was getting her nails done, talking to someone, and the woman was talking about her daughter to the person doing her nails. The my client was sitting there and was like, does your daughter have whatever? And she was like, yeah. And basically that conversation went into my client. My client was able to go to her provider and was like, I think she might have this. And they were like, yeah, we need to test for that. And that's lo and behold is what one of what they think the problem is. And they're like now moving forward with that. But you're just like, she said, told me that. And I go, you were meant to sit next to that woman. And
mhm,
I think that's the big thing is like if we pay attention and listen and some things seem obsolete, like I'm getting my nails done at some random place and this person's talking and I just am hearing them, like you are meant to hear that and like it's
mhm,
meant to be passed on. So I think, again, one of my most favorite reasons for having my own business is the amazing women I have met. I didn't really realize like when you do what I'm doing or and kind of start your own thing, you kind of tend to draw women who are also entrepreneurs. So I do feel like if I were to pull the statistics, it's like I feel like 80% of them have their own business. And that could be because of I don't take insurance and they are self-pay anyways. And so they're gonna, I don't know, spend a little more time. Like, who do I want to see? I don't just have to go to where my insurance tells me. So there's probably that piece of it, but you just meet these fascinating women of and what they do and what they're able, to bring to the table. I mean, that's how Diane and I met.
Mhm.
And really just talking like, "Oh, what do you do? Tell me more." Like, "Hey, would you be interested?" um, but that's how it works. And sometimes it's just like, yeah, I think being like listening. And my dad used to say that he was like, there is no oh, there was a whole line he would say, but like there is no luck. Like it's the fact that like it's paying attention.
Mhm.
And like and again, I really do believe like you're if you're reading something and then all of a sudden it comes up like was that luck? Like no, you read that, you kept that information, and then this you were supposed to read that to be able to pass that on, sort of thing. So
Mhm.
I don't know if I answered your question or not, but I think
No, absolutely. I think that's perfect, and it's a great way to wrap up this conversation of just slowing down,
Mhm.
knowing that we're all connected. As you were talking, I was thinking about aspen trees and an aspen grove. How they're just one giant organism, and they're all linked together underground by their root system, and they thrive together. And I think we're just a bunch of aspen trees, but that we're connected on a deeper level, and that when we all thrive together
right,
and we grow, and you can still drop your leaves, but that doesn't mean that we're not connected, while we're resting and while we're slowing down to really open ourselves up to listen and absorb the information and just observe
right.
where we're at in life, and probably giving ourselves the grace that we give everyone else. Maybe
Yeah.
that could be another,
Right. I
just
mean, I
add
win
to your
like,
to-do list.
I think that's the thing is, like, if I win, you win, and
Mhm,
it's not a competition, like, it never has been. It's about, like, if, like, I'm gonna support you, and I'm gonna help you because you're gonna that's you know what I mean? It's a give and take, and, like, it is a relationship, and I think
mhm.
we think we're these little silos of separate people, and we're really not. And so, again, it's like we're all meant to be lifting each other up, and
Yes.
supporting each other. And I think that like the more people that recognize that, the better off we're going to be. But
Agreed.
yeah, yeah,
Well, and I thank you. Don't take let me try those words again. Don't avoid the credit that's deserved, because you are the focal point of the community. You have, because of your leadership and your guidance and your beliefs, you attract that type of, this amazing community to surround you and to really support each other. So, thank you for that, because without you, it wouldn't happen.
well, thank you. Yeah, it's cool. It's super cool. And I know we will this was a little, like we always kind of joke like we're being woo woo. But like it's real. You know what I mean? I always joke around when I say like, "Oh, I'm being woo woo," or like, "Oh, it's the year of the horse." All of these things, but I'm like it's true. Like I do
Mhm.
think, when you think about it, like like the process, believing that has been around for centuries. Like this isn't anything new. I'm nothing special saying this. And so I think that's the thing. I'm like, things don't have to be researched. Things don't have to be a double blind, placebo to be true. The test of time plays a role as well too. And
Mhm.
we will spend more time like we'll get off this topic, and we will talk about things that people really want to have answered about hormones, our bodies, what's changing. And if there is a topic that anyone wants to hear,
Yes.
we can dive into that. But yeah, we just I think we both thought that this was like an important just to like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, or like that resonates with me. And if
Yeah.
everyone starts to just take a minute for themselves, take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, get outside, put your phone down, like allow that
Mhm.
time, then I think we'll we'll see improvements. Like that's that
I
simple.
I couldn't agree more. And I think it's just a great way to kind of start the year off and, introduce, food for thought to think about while you're listening to this or driving or walking or being in nature, that, we use the same energy for internet, for cable, for electricity, for all the same things. So why wouldn't that energy be part of the human experience as well?
Right.
It doesn't discern.
No, exactly. It recycles.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, until next time.
All right, great. Have a good one.